Hello, everybody, and welcome to 2C TV, your global news channel. The Islamic Republic of Iran have deployed their security forces across the major cities in the country following the assassination of the top 3 IRGC judges. And in this live stream, we're also going to be covering the latest updates on the Iranian people's uprising. All right, so there's so much to cover. I hope you enjoyed this morning's live show presented by Dan Grant of British Stand. Of course, we have our schedule now. Monday to Friday, the live shows will be at 10 a.m., 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. UTC or UK time. And of course, throughout the day, any breaking news that happens will come to you guys. The weekend schedule is basically ad hoc. We'll just come to you guys throughout the day with breaking news and live updates. Now, let's talk about Iran. So, the return of the Donald means that the IRGC are a little bit in a panic mode, as you guys can tell. And the uprising that has escalated since 2019, until then, we basically had every 10 years or so, since 1979, when the Islamic occupation started, we had different waves of uprising and protest. Every single time they've been doing a massive crackdown on them, the Islamic occupiers, and now they haven't really been able to completely stop it. They managed to push back. In 2019, 2020, they pushed back. Obviously, lockdown happened. They extended the lockdown measures in Iran in order to stop the uprising. Then 2022 and 2023 kicked off again with Mahsa Amini, the Iranian girl who was killed by the morality police. And since then, we've had protests after protests and everything else. Now, we are seeing what we had at the beginning of the pre-French Revolution, where you're getting a guerrilla campaign by the Iranian people who are going around assassinating the IRGC thugs. And so, in case you haven't heard of the last couple of days, we had a number of very key figures who've been eliminated. Ali Razini was one of the top IRGC judges who was also around the 1988 massacre. We are going to talk about the 1988 mass executions, in case you don't know what happened there. But Ali Razini was responsible for that. There was another judge as well who was Mohammed Morsier, who was also eliminated a couple of days ago in Tehran. These guys were part of the Supreme Court of the Islamic Republic. Then there were a number of others who were also shot at, and these two died immediately. There was another one who went to hospital. After a few hours, he also managed to stop breathing. That's Hussein Nairi. Now, these 3 butchers of Iran were involved in the 1988 mass executions, where tens of thousands of Iranians, the estimates suggest that 30,000 Iranians were executed by the Iranian regime, by the Islamic occupiers. There wasn't much outrage really from the international community because they didn't really want to poke the bear. And from the Western globalist perspective, it was in their interest for the Iranian regime to remain in place, and they've had it since then anyway. So the liberal globalists from the American side and the European Union continue to fund the Islamic Republic. They continue to make backroom deals with them because they would rather have a weak enemy in Iran than a strong equal partner who would also get close to Israel, because of course the Iranians and the Israelis and the Jews have always been historic allies. They don't want that to happen again. So this is not really good news for the Iranian regime, because not only they've lost the IRGC judges, but also a number of the key military personnel have also been eliminated in recent times. So they've been deploying the security forces and the police across major cities, including Tehran, the capital, Mashhad, Esfahan, and Shiraz as well. The last couple of days it's been quite heated, the atmosphere. The morality police are doing big crackdowns even on basic behavior and attitude of people just walking around the streets. They want to make sure that they send a message that, don't forget, we are in charge of Iran. Don't forget that we are still the dictators. We're not going anywhere, while they are sending out their funds away from the country. So all this has resulted in a bit of a messed up situation. So we have to talk about the reality of the situation. The change in administration in the United States of America is a very bad news for the Iranian regime. China and Russia have effectively abandoned their ally, the Iranian regime, because while Russia is too busy in Ukraine, China have bigger plans when it comes to the long-term CCP plan for the global markets, and they can't really afford to be associated directly with weak partners. The Iranian regime is a weak partner right now when it comes to the axis of evil, but all this has resulted in the top of the leadership being absolutely panicky. So, in case you don't know, the supreme leader of Iran, who you can see on the right-hand side of this picture, Ali Khamenei, the reason he's still in power is because he was actually, before 1979, during the monarchy days, he was seen as more of a liberal cleric. Now, he was still a bit of a rebel. He did go to prison, but he was seen as more of a blue sky thinking philosopher in terms of as a cleric. Now, obviously, he's still Islamic, so not necessarily a critical thinker, but he was very much into reading history and understanding history. That actually, he utilized that, obviously. When the initial supreme leader came into power in 1979, Khomeini, they have similar names, but they're different. Ali Khamenei was still a nobody, really. I mean, he was at the top of the regime, but he was young and nobody took him seriously. Then when Khomeini died in the late 80s, then there suddenly, people around Ali Khamenei, the current supreme leader, basically did a coup. The backroom deals. They made him an Ayatollah last minute, because you have to be an Ayatollah in order to be supreme leader. And so they just said, blah, 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 blah. There we go, you're an Ayatollah now. You're basically the messenger from the God. Yeah, okay, that's how it works. And since then, the reason he's in power is because he's managed to completely take over the whole of the IRGC. Genius. But also, he always portrayed the image of calm and collected, very stable, very chilled, right? Until now. A few months ago, when Israel decided to go and do boom boom operation on Hezbollah and nutters with the walkie-talkies and pages, the Iranian regime were in a bit of a weird situation, because the supreme leader, as you guys remember, I showed you a clip from a few months ago when he was at the Friday prayers and he was looking up like, where are they? Are they coming? Are they coming? He was absolutely panicking. This week, another example. I'm going to show you a clip. The supreme leader of Iran, the man of calmness, is wearing a bulletproof vest.
وأبناء أمتيك نزلا بك وأنت خير منزول به اللهم إن كانا محسنين فزد في إحسانهما وإن كانا مسيئين فتجاوز عنهما.
Brilliant. So he's either pregnant or wearing a bulletproof vest. Obviously, he's wearing a bulletproof vest. And the fallout of the top of the IRGC is important, because with the division continuing, because there's still a lot of people, they know he's going to go. He's going to die eventually. He's had cancer for about 5 million years. I don't know how he's still alive. They do have good doctors, obviously. But the fallout means that there's coup after coup inside at the top of the regime, as you guys have already seen. Mujtaba Khamenei, the son of the supreme leader, he's got his own plans. He wants to take over. Like, what is it? He's a crown prince. It's not a monarchy. You can't just say, my dad is a leader, I want to be leader again. But then you have, obviously, the people from the former president's side, the helicopter president. Obviously, that's why they had to get rid of him as well. They also have their own plans. They got 4 different sides, right? You have all this going on. And obviously, the security being deployed across Iran, that is obviously a sign of panic. We already know that. Protests have resumed once again. Military personnel. So the latest update is that there have been significant losses of IRGC senior commanders and officers, particularly in Syria. For instance, obviously General Mohammed Reza Zahedi, as a senior commander in the Quds force, was also killed by Israel. Reports obviously indicate at least 121 IRGC leaders and troops, including several commanders, have been eliminated. But that actually is not the only biggest issue We also have the mass protests continuing. In Ahvaz, pensioners and employees of the telecommunication company of Iran, TCI, have been coming out. In Qazvin, in the northern parts of Iran, creditors and state-run, even state employees, government employees, have been coming out to protest against the local governors. In Tehran, the capital, we've had teachers and obviously the pensioners and the public sector workers and even the main market in downtown Tehran. They've all been protesting and doing a general strike. The economy is in obviously complete collapse. The currency has already collapsed. Inflation is about 300%. It's getting worse than Venezuela, and all this is the reason that they had to deploy the security across the country. We have someone saying, the death of Nile, will the Iranian regime really fall, or is this just a clickbait title? So when somebody reports the news, I'm not a prophet. We don't do prophecy. So it's not up to me or what I say that will the Iranian regime really fall or not. So no one can say, will it fall or not? We're reporting the current fallout. We're reporting that they are preparing for the fall, as the title of the live stream suggests. The Iranian regime prepare for fall as the security occupies cities. I cannot predict. I still don't have that superpower. I'm working on it. I'm really working on it to make sure I can predict the future, but I can't really tell you direct. I mean, my opinion that I know the Iranian regime is falling. That's my opinion. But I can't report it as fact. I'm trying my best to get those extra powers to be able to predict the future, but it's not up to me. If Iran falls, it's not up to me. If Iran doesn't fall, it's not up to me. The title is still accurate because they are preparing for the fall and they've deployed the security across the cities. So that's how news reporting works, in case those who don't know. Now, and says, when your leaders' decisions and policies are clearly ruining your country, can you save yourselves? The one difference is that obviously the people in charge of Iran, the Islamic occupiers, don't actually care about Iran. So they don't actually care about the country itself. So one of the main things that they have is that they believe, and I think, to be fair, all these years, I think they've lied to everybody else and to themselves so much. I think they believe it. I genuinely think some people at the top of the regime, they become so delusional, including the supreme leader, that he probably thinks that he's there on behalf of Allah, which is kind of funny. But I'm pretty sure from the beginning, they didn't actually believe that. I don't think you can't be that insane to believe that you're doing Allah's job. So that's another problem that the Iranian regime have. But the thing is, because they are smart, they have been smart. Not all of them, but Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader, and his people around, they've been smart. They've been manipulative. They've been like gangsters. You have to be smart enough to be able to do massive crackdowns and get away with it. So you can't be completely delusional, let's just say. But I don't know what they're actually thinking in their heads. Lilian says, much love from Iran. Please say something in Persian. What am I, your monkeys? Salam. Does that help? Okay. Next one. Oh, that would be fantastic. Proud Persians, rise up. Let's make Persia great again. To be fair, we have to make sure we also respect other ethnicities in Iran as well, not just the Persians, because obviously the Persian Iranians, they're the main group in the middle, but you also have the other Iranians as well. You got the Kurdish Iranians, Jewish Iranians, Arab Iranians, whatever. There's a few of them, not many anymore. Blue Sapphire says, Tusi, they still believe Israel uses black magic to succeed. I doubt their intelligence. This is the thing. Blue Sapphire is correct. I can't really assess their brain because on the one hand, yes, they have street smart. They have street smart to be like gangsters. But they don't have high IQ. They can't because they believe in magic. The Iranian regime believes, and they believe that the Jews are using black magic. They actually believe it. So if you believe in the concept of magic, then obviously you're insane. So how can you be smart and crazy and stupid at the same time? That is the power of the Islamic occupiers. Super chat time from Mike. Thank you, saying he's wearing a Victoria's Secret bulletproof onesie. That's so good. That's the let me put it on because it's funny. No, not the Victoria's Secret bulletproof vest. I'm not putting that on. I'm putting the actual video on. Because you can see in the video, obviously the Supreme Leader is wearing a bulletproof vest, but it does make him look pregnant. So let me show you. So look at him on the right hand side. Look, it's so weird. Also, I'm pretty sure that's not going to protect him from anything. I can assure you, if there are two ways, well, there are technically three ways of taking him out. One is through some sort of bombing. That's bombing as in B-O-M-B, don't get excited. Not bombing. Through that, which means either Israel or the Iranian rebels will be planting it somewhere, wherever he is, and it goes boom. I don't think the West will stop that. The second option is obviously for the rebels to go get close to him, right? They get close, take him out. If they know he's wearing a vest, they can just aim for the head. And I can assure you, the Iranian people are so passionate about getting rid of him that I don't think they're going to aim for his stomach, for his pregnant stomach. They're going to go for the face. So this man is not safe right now. They need to just take him back to the bunker, keep him in his palace, because they got a palace. It's funny because the whole point of the Islamic Republic revolution was to get rid of the monarchy, the hierarchy, the patriarchy, blah, 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 right? But they basically replaced it with their own Islamic monarchies. They have their own palaces, and his son wants to succeed him. You're not a crown prince. That's not how it works. So, next one. I would like to read your story of getting out during the revolution. Well, I wasn't born, but yeah. When are you going to write your book? Thing is, I'm too lazy to write a book, but I might get AI to write. Yeah, but actually, I could get a ghostwriter. If a ghostwriter is watching this, feel free to get in touch. So, no, in case you don't know the story, for those who've been watching this channel for a long time, they know. Apologies for repeating it. I was actually born in Iran. It wasn't my fault. You can't really choose where you're born. And but as a kid, I didn't have a choice. So even in terms of coming out, because I was a kid, it's not like I was fighting against the regime. I can't claim to be a rebel. I am a rebel, but only against the Metropolitan Police. I'm not that brave. But my family were obviously against the regime and pro-monarchy, and they don't do Islam. My family we don't do Islam. It's a taboo. And then obviously my mother got into trouble with the morality police, and the British embassy helped her. She came here to London legally. And then obviously I was a kid, so she managed to legally bring me to London. Even though as a kid, obviously it's a big change. So you don't want to leave. I've got friends here, but I had to come, and so I came British Airways straight to Heathrow, business class. So that was fun, and and then obviously I came here as a child. So it was post-revolution basically. So it was when the Islamic occupation was already happening, and yeah, towards the late 90s, things got bad for the family and my mother, and she decided she was just seeking help, and thanks to the British embassy, that help came to her. Now, where are we with you guys? At this point, I support the Iranian monarchy more than the British monarchy. Well, to be fair, monarchy is different to the royal families. So in every country that has monarchy or had monarchy, you can be a monarchist. You can also be a royalist. There's a difference between monarchist and a royalist. You might say that sounds the same. It's not. I'm not a royalist in Britain or in Iran. I'm a monarchist. I believe in constitutional monarchy, parliamentary democracy, constitutional monarchy. Royalist means that you basically follow the royal family. You follow the king, the individuals, the humans, the faces. And it's probably best not to do that because they're not perfect. And, sometimes you have a good king, sometimes you have a bad king. But if you're pro-monarchy rather than being a royalist, you're actually pro the crown. You're pro the constitution and the concept. That way you can actually... you will be able to criticize bad kings, bad queens, as well as obviously supporting good kings and good queens. So, yeah, in terms of the Iranian monarchy, I think if I were to guess what this comment meant, I think this is the British royal family or the current king. The Iranian monarchy, obviously, the Iranian royal family the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, who's now going to be the second, well, Reza Shah the second, they want to basically replicate similar concept as the British constitutional monarchy. So you have democracy, you will be able to elect your politicians. Well, Iran had constitutional monarchy anyway. Iran was actually the first country in the Middle East at the beginning of the 20th century to bring democracy before the other countries. So like, there was a lot of countries like Iraq or Libya or Syria who have never actually experienced freedom or democracy. So when the Western side, like George W. Bush and Blair, were going around saying, we're going to liberate the Iraqis, we're going to give them democracy. How? With what culture? You had the first election in Iraq, they rigged the election, they killed the opponents. It was mental because they didn't know how to operate under a democracy. You can't just give it to them. If it's not in their culture, they can't do it. You have to start slowly. But the Iranian culture, obviously they had not just democracy, but also freedom, but also secularism, but also the first Charter of Human Rights. Obviously, the founding fathers in the US used the Persian concept and culture of human rights and freedom and the separation of obviously church and state and everything else to create the constitution. You can actually look it up when it comes to the founding fathers, as opposed to copying the European model. But now in Iran, things are getting exciting. It's going to get bad. It's going to get bloody. But future is hopeful. Someone says, Marian says, fellow monarchist, what a rare encounter. Yes. Although it depends on the country and the culture. I'm not pro-monarchy in every country. It'll be weird. So, for example, in the United States, I would definitely not be a monarchist. That would be a terrible idea. The American system works. Respect the American Constitution, guys. Andy says, Maya, I have already said, give them a walkie-talkie and pager and timer built in, then boom, job done. I don't think that's stupid to use pagers going forward in Iran. Aaron says, Trump executive orders and worldwide recall of... we will be covering the first few hours of the Trump presidency because he's been signing executive orders like there's no tomorrow. It's been exciting, let's just say. The World Health Organization are panicking. And the Paris Accord, they're panicking. Everything's changing, which is very, very good. Also, Patel is now going to be in charge of the FBI. He's going to be good. GT says, are you in contact with Patrick Bet-David? You have compatible worldview and you both are from Iran. Yeah, so Patrick Bet-David, or the PBD, obviously, from PBD podcast, he's a great man. His background is almost similar to me. I mean, the only difference is he's a millionaire. He's a successful businessman and he's got a great channel, a podcast. Similar background in terms of obviously his family from Iran, but Christian as well, as opposed to being Islamic. But he's a bit older than me, so I think he's about, 10 years older than me. So he also went to the United States. Well, went to Germany first, then the US as a kid. But a few years before me, obviously. Where are we with you guys? Oh, there we go. So let's have a look at one or two more comments. Trooper Bear says, I followed the 1979 fall as a young man. I have been waiting for this since then. Yeah, it's crazy times. How there's another similarity between what's happening in Iran now and what happened in England a few hundred years ago, when Charles I fell, and when that dictator, Oliver Cromwell, came into power. Obviously, Oliver Cromwell, as a dictator, he created proper tyranny. So he started burning books, banned free speech, blah, blah, blah. And he went for like a few decades. And a lot of people thought, well, this is the end of England. Get used to it now. This is the new system. But the blood of the British culture, the English culture, and all the others knew, just be patient. We don't do this nonsense in Angloland. This regime will go. And yes, Oliver Cromwell did go. And of course, Charles II came. And we went back to normal. Because some cultures and countries are not built for revolutionary tendencies. So The Arabs, the Russians, and to an extent, the French, most of the Europeans, not all of them, they have that revolutionary blood. Whereas the British culture, especially the English culture, and the Iranian culture, these sort of cultures, because of their obviously the ancient history as well, and also especially when it comes to the Anglo-Saxons and their links to the Romans, they're not revolutionary people. They believe in evolution, and they believe in change. They believe in reform. They believe in shake-up, but not necessarily bloody revolutions. So the one time that England tried that, they corrected it. The one time Iran tried this, in 1979, they are correcting it now. So it's the same amount of time, the period that you see. But obviously for Cromwell, it lasted less time than the Iranian regime. The Iranian regime been going on for almost 50 years now, 40-ish years. But it's just a matter of time. Now, Angela says, you're very knowledgeable, Tusi. Thank you, Angela. And B. Lion says, I think Tusi should be a millionaire as well. No, but with all the costs that we have running this operation, I think it's highly unlikely. But yeah, also, thanks to Britain's and the taxation, the tax system in the United Kingdom, they don't really make it easy, do they? So at the end of the day, when we pay all the salaries, all the costs and everything else that we have, the maintenance of the company, and then give Rachel Reeves half of our money, yeah, there's not much left for me. So it's good because then that way I can focus on hard work rather than be lazy, right? Now, any news from Lily? Yeah, Lily was the British Iranian who was arrested on Saturday at the Islamist protest. She was counter-protesting, obviously. I believe she has been released, but I need to double-check to see what is going to happen afterwards in terms of being charged or whatever else. And but we do have an update. Niak Orbani, 2CTV reporter and also friend of Lily, he was arrested last night. Again, as I always joke, Niak, who is Iranian, has been arrested by the Metropolitan Police in London more than he was arrested by the Morality Police in Iran, which is quite impressive. Yes, Niak was arrested last night outside the US Embassy because the Palestinian nutters were outside the embassy protesting against Donald Trump and the far left. Niak was there to do the counter-protest. He wasn't there to actually report, which is fun. Something when he does a counter-protesting, it's more fun. But yeah, they took him away because the Palestinian supporters said that his presence is insulting and intimidating. I mean, imagine being scared and intimidated by a banana man. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.